What?
You did?
Yeah, we built a house. It was back of our grandfather's, my father-in-law's house. And then I can't get this in exactly how it happened, but we sold that house and we moved to San Francisco, and his territory, oh I know, he joined the Naval Intelligence when the war started, and he was in the Naval Intelligence and his territory was San Francisco. So we rented an apartment which was on the famous hill in San Francisco, Lombard, which is a twisty street.
Yes.
And then my second child, Sam, was born at the Butterfield Hospital.
That's me, folks.
Yeah, he was born in San Francisco. And then later on, a third.
That'll be Bruce.
The baby, Bruce, was born there too. So we were living in a 2-bedroom apartment with 3 kids, 2 of them still in diapers. And he's off someplace.
Was he off on a ship?
Yes, he went in the Navy and he went overseas.
Oh my.
And we went down to the pier to wave goodbye when he was with Leonard and I. And Leonard saw the ship going by and Don was standing in the back of the ship and said he would wave to us. And all of a sudden, Leonard screamed, "Come back, come back, they're going to kill you." and all the people standing around all felt sorry for us. Leonard was a devil. One time we were riding on, one of the big deals on Sunday was to go up to the top of the hill and take the cable car and ride down to the park at Union Square and feed the pigeons. That was a big outing. And we get on the cable car and we sit down and a sailor comes and sits next to Leonard. And Leonard looks up at him and said, "Hi, sailor, I like you. Why don't you come home and sleep with Mommy and me?" And the whole cable car, they broke up. And this poor sailor was so embarrassed he could hardly stand it, and I was too.
Okay, back to you.
Next to the apartment house was a big vacant lot. And so some of us neighbors got together and went down and dug up and planted a victory garden. And while we were digging in these ashes, we found stuff from the earthquake, spoons and dishes and knives and a lot of stuff. And the San Francisco Chronicle came out and took pictures of us, and I have it upstairs, I'll show
Really?
you.
I didn't know that.
Some of the neighbors as we were digging, and we raised tomatoes and corn, string beans, and we really, we had enough to give away. It was, I've noticed since then that they've built another building in there, which is sort of sad.
Oh.
But I really had a nice time during the war, but then towards the end there, a third child was born. And
Bruce.
yeah.
So he came along
That
4
was-
years after me.
That was Bruce. And when I brought him home, Sam and Len came over and stared at him, and Sam said, "Are you sure it's a boy?"
We've always wondered.
And I showed him. I said, "You can be sure." And I said, "Why?" And Leonard, I think, said, "Well, a girl would have ruined this family." He was oh, well.
Oh my, oh
But
my.
I had to watch because I never was really sure that you weren't going to throw a toy at him or something.
He's lucky to be alive.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was San Francisco. Then where did
San Francisco, and after San Francisco, where did we go?
we go to Palo Alto?
His father wanted him to come and work in the title insurance company. So we moved down here. We built a house out in the country. And we had several incidents in Palo Alto. One was Leonard made his first, we took him first to a doctor. The boy's grandmother was a Christian Scientist, and so I went along with it. Didn't bother me, nobody was ever sick. so they'd never been examined, so I decided that it was time that they had an examination. I explained to Leonard, who was first, that he was going to take all his clothes off and look at everything and not to worry because he was in good shape. So we went down, he was very quiet, went into the doctor's without me, and he came out and we got out on the street and I said, Leonard, that wasn't so bad, was it? It was disgusting, he said.
Oh, Lenny.
He was so funny. And one day, we couldn't find Sam. He had disappeared. And we were looking all over, and finally we get a phone call from the golf course at Stanford.
Oh, yeah.
And the man said, do you have a son called Sam? And I said, yes. He said, well, he's out here. And we never knew how you got there. We don't know anything about it. I don't think you remember.
How old was I then?
I had to go out and get him. So we had several little incidents like that. The dog, the Schnauzer, used to climb up the back fence, the back thing, got on the roof of our house and jumped up and used to sit on the chimney and to survey the neighborhood.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
That's a good dog.
Yeah, he was a nice dog.
Yeah.
And
So did we move?
then I kept hoping to have horses.
Aha.
So we moved to Woodside.
Yes.
And rented a place out there while we were starting to build a house. We bought a piece of property and had the foundation dug, and we had, I bought up one horse. I looked in the ads and I got one house for a horse, got a horse for $25.
Oh boy, what a deal.
Yeah, and then another one I paid $100 for. So
Was
we had
that
two,
Butch?
And the neighbor had a horse that was glad to have us ride. So the boys and I used to go off in the fields and ride a little bit. But it's not like riding in Kentucky because the fields out here are full of gopher holes, and so you have to stay on the paths. And the house was being built, and all of a sudden, one day I get a phone call from Mexico, from Don, my husband, and he said on the phone, Nancy, I'm here in Mexico and today I divorced you. And I suggest that you get a lawyer and tend to first. And I was so shocked. I said, who is it? Because I'd never known that he went out, and he said, you don't know her. So I called up, he had already called his mother and father, and she called me and she was in tears. Please don't divorce him. And I said, well, I'll have to get a lawyer and do something about finances. Anyway, I think it was the first case where I got all of the community property, luckily, because I didn't have any personal money of my own. And we bought a house in Menlo Park, a very nice house, and with the help of my in-laws who were on my side. And they bought me a car, a beautiful big Buick station wagon, and we all moved down there, and I used to go out on parties and dates, but I was very careful because I had a lawyer who was smart. And he said, Nancy, during this whole time, don't ever be alone with a man. So my mother came out and stayed with us, and I was never alone with a man. And finally the divorce papers came and I was free.